previous tutorial. So we have our player, he can walk and move, but the enemy is standing here still and has no reaction. First, let's create for our an animator controller. Let's call it enemy anim controller. Let's assign it to our enemy. So right now the controller is empty, so let's change this. We would like to have idle animation. Yeah, this one is nice. Let's take this one. And we need a, let's say, shoot animation. So when the player is nearby, let's aim to him and start shooting at him. So we have these two animations. Let's have a trigger to shoot. And this is the default one, which will play when we start the game. And when the player is nearby, we want to switch to the shooting animation. And so we will make a transition here. Yes, we have only this one. And it should switch immediately. Okay, is this a shooting animation? Okay, yeah. Maybe we have something better. No, and yeah, doesn't matter. Machine gun, sounds better. Yeah, let's take this one. So I will just change the animation, name this to shooting, name this to idle. And when the player is leaving, let's say, the area around us, we can switch back to idle. And for this I will create a new trigger. So when the trigger is executed, we will go back to idle. So now when we test our scene, the enemy should be in the idle state. Yes, it's working, as we can see. Very nice. But he's still not reacting to us. Okay, so for this we are gonna create a new script. Let's call it enemy react. Okay, we will have in our script a reference to the animator. Leak animator, so we can trigger the animation states from shooting to idle and the other way. So and we wanna have we wanna have a area, we wanna have a float number. This will be the radius for the trigger, and we are gonna remove the update, we don't need it. What we need, we want to have the gizmo drone to show us in the scene editor how big our area should be. When this area is entered by the player, then the enemy should react on it. So it would be undraw gizmo, and we say we want the color should be, let's say, red, and we want to draw a sphere from the position of our player. So transform position, and the radius is taken from the parameter. Let's attach this script to the enemy and see if we can see the enemy react. So we should be able to see, but we don't see it. Ah, it's 0, sorry. Now if we say 5, we don't see the sphere. Why we don't see the sphere? Oh no, not draw via sphere, sorry. This should do the trick. Okay, the sphere is still not visible, and in the meantime I found out why. So the issue is that in the editor my gizmo visibility was toggled off, so just enable it. So if you had the same issue as me, I just forgot to enable the gizmos in the editor. So yeah, as you can see now, you're able to see the via sphere here, and you can define now the size whatever you want. So but the next part will be that we will create a sphere collider on runtime, so sphere trigger on runtime, and attach the same radius as we have here defined. Okay, let's do the creation of the sphere collider on runtime. So in our script, let's define a variable sphere collider, sphere col. So, and on start, if we have defined any radius, we are creating our sphere collider. Okay, sphere. Then we set it as trigger, and we define the radius. And only if it's bigger than 0. Okay, let's see. Yep, our sphere is created, as you can see, and it has the same radius as we have here. Perfect. So now we want to react when the player is entering the sphere area. Let's see if on trigger enter. So if the other has to take player, we react on it. Let's see. So let's create maybe different layers, one for the enemy and one for the player. Enemy, player, put player on the player one, and put enemy on the enemy one. Okay. So the player is the player tag, the enemy is the enemy tag. Let's see if we will be able to see something when the player is entering this area. So let's move forward. Yep, player has entered. Perfect. Now we wanted our enemy. We want the enemy to start shooting when the player has entered the area. So first let's check if the animator is set, and if yes, we say set trigger and play the shooting animation. I think I call it shoot, but let's double check. Yep, shoot. And now let's assign the reference to the animator. Okay. Now our enemy should start shooting when the player has entered the area. So let's see. Okay, he was shooting only once, I think. Yeah. Okay, we need to set the animation on loop so that he continues shooting not only once. Yeah. Maybe there is a better. Yeah, I think this would be better. This fits better, this animation. Let's also set it on loop, apply, and let's change it to this one. Okay, let's test it once more. So we walk into the area and the enemy starts shooting. Perfect. Okay, fine would be if the enemy would now also aim towards the player, so let's do this quickly. So in our update method, let's have a boolean has player is in the area. So when the player has entered, we will set this boolean, and when the player has left, we will remove it again, set it to false. So now we know when the player is in the area, we start shooting and rotating towards the player, else we stop it. So and here we switch back when he has left to idle animation. Yeah. In the update method, we check if the player is in the area, we follow him. So our transform look at yeah, we need a reference to the player, so let's save it, transform player trans, and let's set it also, let's set it also here when when the player has entered the area. So player trans is other transform, and we can set it here to 0 or to null when he has left again. So now here we want to look at the player transform. Let's see if this will work. So now the player should start shooting and also look at, yeah, and follow our until he is, yeah, when he is out of the area, we switch back to the idle animation. Yeah, works fine. So when we move back, he will start shooting again and also look at the player and follow him. I think this works fine. Yeah, that's it for today.